stand by for action.
Thanks for joining me. My name's Dave Miller. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy. Let's begin by saying thank you to Gulf Dogs on the Twitter for a magnificent graphic that he made for me, which I will be using for my new Unpleasant Blind Guy Conservative Bite segments when I put them out. It is a magnificent graphic, and I appreciate it very much. Check out Gulf Dogs' blog. That's at gulfdogs.wordpress.com. All right. Been following this story for some time, and there's been movement, and I like to report things like that to people when that happens. Some time ago, I was listening to the Exceptional Conservative show hosted by Kenneth McClinton, and he was speaking of 77-year-old Cecil Mills of Washington, D.C., who died of a heart attack across the street from a D.C. fire station that refused an immediate response when people went and knocked on their door. Now, when I covered this in my own show, I said that one of the things that could be done about things like this was a civilian review board. D.C. GOP Vice Chairman Ralph J. Chittims was a guest on the Exceptional Conservative show on April the 14th. Now, as a sidebar, I recommend that everyone listen to the Exceptional Conservative show with Kenneth McClinton. That comes on Mondays through Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Blog Talk Radio. Now, the subject of Ken's show on April the 14th was Cecil Mills, Relisha Rudd. These names are synonymous with the failings of the D.C. government and the culture of irresponsibility established in liberal public policy. Where is the GOP response? And I'm happy to say that the response did come. It's actually begun. The next day, on April the 15th, on Facebook, Ralph Chittims wrote, Kenneth McClinton, a funny thing happened on the way to the fair. This evening I went to Mayor Gray's Ward 7 meeting, re the FY15 budget. After the meeting, I had the opportunity to speak with Mayor Gray and Deputy Mayor Quander. I spoke to both of them about the need for some type of a civilian review board to oversee D.C. FEMS. Although the conversation wasn't lengthy or in-depth, the first salvo, as I promised, has been fired. Now, why is this important? Why should the names Cecil Mills and Relisha Rudd matter as much to conservatives, and indeed to all Americans, as Justina Pelletier or the Bundy family? It's because conservatism is about the people, all of the people. And as conservatives, we must defend the rights of all of the people. And when government goes out of control, becomes irresponsible, and serves only itself, it is time for conservatives to oppose it through every peaceful means necessary, whether it is doing harm to a Justina Pelletier, the Bundy family, Cecil Mills, or Relisha Rudd. What progressives fail to understand is that when conservatives champion the individual over the collective, what we're saying is that making people powerful on an individual basis creates a more powerful collective that's more responsive to the individual than the top-down type of collective that the progressives want to create. See, I know this is going to surprise progressives, but conservatives care about all Americans, not just Americans on a Nevada ranch, but Americans stuck in healthcare facilities in progressive East Coast states, and Americans in our capital who deserved better than they got from their government. In the case of Cecil Mills and Relisha Rudd, an elected civilian review board with term limits for those who serve will give the individual people in the city of Washington, D.C. better control over their local government. And I am proud that D.C. GOP Vice Chairman Ralph J. Chittims has chosen to join the fight. Because yes, progressives, we care about all Americans, regardless of location, and yes, regardless of color. And now I want to get to Awesome Americans for this show. Now, the Awesome Americans this time are 6-year-old Mason Rudder, his father George, both from Kansas City, Missouri, and ex-Navy SEAL Jared Ogden. Now, the following story is from the Mail Online, and it was published on April the 1st, and updated, just so you know it's not a joke, on April the 2nd. Headline: SEAL Team aged 6. Boy with genetic disorder becomes elite commando for the day as he blows up doors and takes down bad guys. A 6-year-old boy who suffers from a neuromuscular condition had a birthday to remember on Sunday when he got to be a Navy SEAL for the day. Mason Rudder from Kansas City was in his element as he spent the day going through weapons and explosives training before getting to fire a gun and blow something up. The whole experience was a dream coming true for Mason, who wants to be a Navy SEAL when he grows up. According to Mason's father, George, his son's fascination with the SEALs was partly fueled by the fact that his uncle was a SEAL and his grandfather was in the Air Force. Mason enjoys playing military games around the house, and so his parents arranged the Navy SEAL for a day training as a birthday surprise. He's all boy, his father told the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Mason was born with a genetic disorder, Escobar syndrome, that causes limited movement and a decreased range of motion. He is about 3.5 feet tall and weighs just 32 pounds and had already endured 10 surgeries. Mason was trained on Sunday by ex-Navy SEAL Jared Ogden, who offers training to military service members and the police. He helped Mason hold several high-powered rifles and handguns. Then Mason's final mission was to raid the hideout of a Taliban leader. The young boy helped his team enter the lair by detonating a real bomb, similar to ones used in the 2011 mission to capture Osama bin Laden at his compound in Pakistan. Mason said that detonating the bomb was his favorite part of the entire day. At the end of training, Ogden pinned a Navy SEAL trident on the young boy's sweatshirt. Now, I got that story from Small G Gay, purveyor of the Small G Gay Report from Blog Talk Radio, something that everyone should try and catch. Usually runs his show around noon to, say, 2 o'clock-ish. His show can always be heard on Blog Talk Radio in archives, so go into Blog Talk Radio and check that out. Now, I'm going to put the articles about Cecil Mills, Relisha Rudd, and Mason Rudder up at UBG Contact on the Twitter, where you can get hold of me with questions, comments, also American suggestions, and other things like that related to the show. And speaking of, that's all for this time. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening, and may your God go with you. Goodbye.